How to handle obsessions, or better said, materialism? Well, I do have kind of not necessarily a shortcut, but a possibility or a certain direction that I've been using for a while. See, when you think about something that you crave, especially say you're craving a certain person in your life, or you're craving a certain product in your life, imagine what life is when you actually have had it, yes, when you've been using it and then it crashes for good, yes, and then it no longer works, you need to buy something else, right? Either the same one or a different product, right? Like different company and the such. Why this would be is not to program your mind towards bad things, but to remind your mind that what you crave is just something superficial. You just want it because you want the comfort of not seeking for a solution towards a possible problem or an actual problem that you have. That is the core issue. That is why I tell people what the core issue is, because they need to observe that, not just chase the surface, right? Or comb the surface. Because a lot of people end up doing just that. They want something new because they have a problem and they want it solved quickly. They don't have much patience, anyways. So the point is, if you crave a certain person, for example, imagine that you're already wedded with that person and you're in your old age, right? Imagine them as ugly as possible, saggy breasts, bad breath, arched back and the such. Now, why would this be? Some would ask. Because, well, very simple. That's a possible reality. Say you actually have a good relationship, you get married, and you will get to a certain age. Yes? Then suddenly that person won't look as tempting as ever, right? A person will look tempting up till a certain period, right, of time after you are probably in a relationship, or especially soon after you get married, and then they're not gonna be that tempting anymore. Because it is just an impulse. An impulse means you have a problem and you want to solve it quickly, right? You don't have the patience to wait for more. When you think about things that will break or how life would be once they broke, well, it would be the same as now, right? You want something new. So technically, the old isn't to your liking. You don't want it anymore or the such, and you want it changed, right? So imagine that you bought that new stuff that you wanted and you've had it for a long time and then it broke, right? So you're technically in the same starting point, in the same situation that you are right now. This is a good way, if used correctly. It is a good way to help your mind understand that everything that you will buy uh, will have a certain life, let's say, along you, will last a certain period of time. Because consumerism, the way everything exists in this world, see, if you want to have a sick society, if you want to control a mass of people, of ignorance, keep them in survival. Once they are in survival, everything will be about gathering. That is why materialism is so prolific nowadays. Because people believe that survival is the only state of existence. The majority of people kind of live like that. That's why they are always chasing. And the advertising system, you can see how aggressive it is, because everything, even the smallest things in your house, they are presented as if they are the greatest solution to your problems, right? You don't necessarily need those things, but the advertising is so aggressive, so invasive, it kind of easily convinces the majority of people, or well, the ignorance, that that is the greatest solution to the possible problems that they have. Because advertising is all about creating a problem to which people will react. Maybe they don't have that problem, but in their head you grant them that problem so that they solve it themselves. Technically, they don't do anything rather than let themselves guided by their emotions, and they buy that product or service, because that's technically what you're selling as a merchant. You're selling emotions, not an object, not a product or a service. You're selling a possible solution to some people's problems. If people would think like this, instead of just selling a useless product or a service they're tired of, well, obviously they would get more in tune with their empathy, right? When you remind your mind that everything that you buy has a certain life, it will live to a certain moment and then, well, it will crash like all objects, and it will need replacing. then you understand, or hopefully you will start understanding the importance of the things that you have nowadays, because everything is becoming more and more expensive. So the problem is, the more expensive they become, the harder it will get to replace them. So taking more care of your objects, especially by training your mind that sooner or later they will crash. Well, this is an art on its own. Some people will say, why would it be an art? Because if you think about every object that you want, that at a certain moment it will break, if you don't do it with a certain style, with a certain amount of balance, you will train your mind to not buy anything because it will crash. You will teach yourself a fear of everything. So life isn't just black and white as most people would say. Life isn't just one single direction, but this is a point one can use to remind themselves that everything is temporary in your life. People will come and people will go. Things will come in your life, things will go. There are people who have it all and then lose it all. Because a lot of people forget one thing. Many say money can't buy happiness. But the question is, can poverty? Because if money can't buy happiness, poverty won't either. Yes, sure, it's not bad to have some money, but don't live to the detriment of others. Because money, if you have it, you can solve some problems, you can be generous, you can do certain things. If you don't have it, well, you can still work and get some. But the point about life is everything is temporary. Nothing is forever. Even that person or those people that you crave, right? They will be old as well. They will get old just like you. And there will come a moment when they will no longer be that attractive, that tempting anymore. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.